So now that you have organized all of your content, it's going to be really easy for you now to create a navigation menu and create a navigation system. Now, by creating a navigation menu or navigation system, this will allow you to not only organize the content, but there are ways to use this to increase the stick rate. Now, think about it. If somebody is able to find your content quicker than ever, then they're going to be fulfilled. They're going to feel like, okay, this site is actually worth my time. I found what I was looking for, and maybe I can find other things that I'm looking for in terms of related posts and things like that. But I'm going to talk both about WordPress and HTML. But the first thing I want to talk about is WordPress. WordPress, as you know, under Appearance, if you go to Menus, has the option to create a new menu for your WordPress theme. So you can organize the pages, you can organize links, you can organize categories as well. Now, in addition to this, you can also add what we call pagination. Pagination allows you to break content up. So if you have, like, let's say, for example, a really long piece of content that has videos, screen capture, screenshots, has text and everything, but it's a very long post. So pagination allows you to basically split the content into, say, 5 different parts. And by doing that, if you get people to click on your page, then this is a little tip, but these are like mini transactions. As somebody engages with your site, they have trusted you. They are trusting you more and more and more. So once they get through just clicking on your links, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, they have invested time psychologically and subconsciously. They feel that they trust you. Most likely, if that's the case. Not all the time, but the majority of the times. And if that's the case, it's going to be easier for you to sell something, for you to get them to take action later down the road, especially if they reach the last page. Now, you can do this with HTML. You just have to do it manually. There may be softwares out there and codes out there you can find that will do it for you. But for the most part, if you're using something like WordPress, you could easily do that by going to plugins, add new plugins, and typing in pagination. Well, you'll be able to find many different plugins, as you can see here. So this allows you to split up your content into pieces. So not only do you have a navigation menu at the top or on the sidebar, but in addition to that, you have pagination on the bottom of every single post, especially the very long posts. So somebody clicking through, that's going to be a plus. Now, in addition to that, you also want to add some sort of related posts plugin, so that at the very end of the content, for example, at the very end of this content here, a lot of times on this page, on this blog, for example, you'll see at the very end some sort of related posts. Okay, so for example, this person here as an example said, you also might like blah, 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 and blah, because these are related to these up here. Now, in addition to that, you can also connect your content together by tags, like keyword tags, categories, and things like that. So if you can categorize your content and add tags to your content, then that will allow other people to find your content very easily. So I hope this makes sense to you. But it's a lot of basic stuff, a lot of free plugins that you can use, but it's powerful. Now, in addition to that, I want to show you something. Wiki.answers.com has a lot of really good examples of this. For example, if you type in something like, how would you fix a car that burns a lot of oil? Well, they have this slider menu here. And in order to read the content, you have to click these arrows to navigate. So for example, The first step is to establish how your engine is losing oil, whether it is, so they got to click over in order to see the next slide. Is actually burning oil, usually indicated by blue or black smoke, or leaking it. A minor leak from a worn out drain plug or a bad gasket can result in the lost. So you see how they split up the sentences? So if you have a short amount of content, this would be a great way to keep people on your site because they have to click over to get to the next tip. So even if you had the top 10 tips, you could do this too. You could apply this. You could use a slider to do this. So that's the little tip that you can use on your WordPress site and on HTML pages as well. And if you don't know how to do this, you can always find somebody on Fiverr, find somebody on Odesk to do it for you. Now, what I found in suggestions and recommending people to make it easier for them in terms of running an HTML-based page is with HTML, it's a little bit harder because you need to know the coding to do it properly. WordPress, it's easier because it's just point and click. You find a plugin, it does it for you. But if you head on over to envato.com, especially themeforce.net, and you type in HTML landing pages, by going here, you can easily transfer your data to an HTML page and go from that point on. Or you can transfer your data to a WordPress page and go from that point as well. But as you can see here, you can get access to some really good looking landing pages, as you can see here. So we got fitness here, we have a responsive HTML landing page. But as you can see, it's not just a single page for some of these. There are actually several pages. And remember, with several pages, you avoid a higher bounce rate. With the one single page, you pretty much are going to get a very high percentage or even 100% bounce rate, just like Google states. So hopefully that gives you some ideas on how to increase your site navigation by using menus, by using pagination, by using sliders, just different ways to keep people on your site. Like for example, the slider, you could keep people on your site because they have to slide over and over and over to get the actual content. Plus, they're interacting with your site. If you can get people to interact with your site, then you're one step or several steps closer to actually closing the deal and getting them to take action. So I hope you enjoyed this course. Make sure that you apply everything that you've learned, otherwise it's going to be useless. And just take into account these three different scenarios of speeding up your site. Number 2, content is key. And number 3, basic navigation. If you can do all of these, most likely your site is going to be improved, and the human element, which is the most important element, they're going to actually like your site.